The Chad Hasty Show. Follow me on Twitter, Chad Hasty Radio. In studio with us right now, State Representative Dustin Burrows. Welcome back, sir.
Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Yesterday, had a little bit of breaking news out of the state of California. Dallas Morning News reported, I think they were one of the first ones to report, California prohibiting any state-funded or state-sponsored travel to Texas, citing a new law that gives legal cover to religious adoption agencies that turn away prospective parents because they're gay, or it could. And the California Attorney General added 4 states, including Texas, to that list. You had a piece of legislation at the very beginning of the session that would have banned state funds from Texas going to California if California would have done this very act, correct?
That is it. I mean, by way of background, I was aware of this nonsense that California had done, this law they created. Essentially California has kind of taken up the cause like the NFL or Microsoft, and what they want to do is use their influence to dictate the policy and culture of the state of Texas. Well, as a very proud Texan, I do not want the California legislature, determining what the culture of Texas is. And so I thought a good deterrent to this was an amendment to our budget that simply said, look, you put us on our list, we're going to put you on our list. So it was real simple. It was, reciprocal. And we ended up putting it on the back of the budget, made through some process, didn't end up in the final thing. But, I had some people during that time that were kind of scratching their heads, weren't aware of the law. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, yesterday, California came out and did exactly what, a lot of us predicted they might do. So hoping the governor will give us a chance to reciprocate to California.
There were some folks who were upset initially by the first version because the thought, I guess, immediately goes to sports. Anytime, same with the bathroom bill, is the NFL going to pull out of Texas? Is the NCAA going to pull out of Texas? Or, what's going to happen to our sporting events? So what would happen with sports if taxpayer money or if tax dollars aren't allowed to go to California and vice versa?
I don't think anything will happen. And I understand. Look, Texas has got a great economy. We're some of the most welcoming people in the entire country, if not the most. We have great opportunities to work with other states when we want, to share and do things. But we can't let the almighty dollar dictate our culture on every single occasion. And, there's some, Democrats who are upset because they want California to smile at us and think we're doing a good job. And there's some weak-kneed Republicans out there also, that essentially, I guess, are comfortable with California dictating our laws of our lands. I'm not. A majority of Republicans stood with me on that budget amendment, and hopefully we'll get a chance to address it in the special.
Well, it's one of those where you want to protect your place. You want to protect your area, and for Texas, why would we want California dictating, to us, or any other state really, dictating to us? And in fact, you had the governor who came out, I think it was during the bathroom bill, and saying the NFL and the NCAA aren't going to dictate our laws. Why would we allow another state to?
Absolutely. We're just not going to let it happen. And let's talk about the underlying laws real quick, because I think most people will agree with them. At the time, there was a bill that we passed in 2015 called the Pastor Protection Act. And essentially what it said is after the Obergefell decision on allowing same-sex marriage, we knew there were some pastors out there that did not want to perform those ceremonies. And some of the activists from the left coast and some of my colleagues across the aisle thought that no church should be able to deny that. They wanted to sanction them, fine them, do whatever to pastors who refuse to perform those ceremonies. The end of the day, we ended up passing a law that would prohibit discrimination against those pastors who chose not to do that. If they wanted to do it, great. But if they chose not to do it because it violated their faith, we weren't going to force them to do it. Good law. I think that's very fair. I think people should have some ability to decide who they want to do business with and what they actually want to do. But those are the type of laws that would put us on the list. The particular law that we're talking about was one of my colleagues from Wichita Falls, James Franks, great member out of Wichita Falls. And Chad, around here, the foster and adoption agencies who've done the work for 100 years have been our faith-based community. It's been our Buckners and Children's Homes and Boys Ranch. And they have a faith mission, and they have a lot of ties to churches. And it's against their tenets to provide abortions. or to take someone for an abortion. It's against their tenets to, adopt a same-sex couples. And regardless how you feel about that, there are providers who will do that, but some don't. And those on the left would like to shut them down.
Yeah.
Without any care or concern what would happen for the children that are dependent upon these providers. In our region, we are very dependent upon it. So James Frank looked at this, and a lot of us did, and Senator Perry supported this in the Senate. It was his bill. Said, you know what? We're not going to let somebody come in and shut these providers down for, deciding they're going to, practice their business the same as their faith. And there's alternatives out there. And so we passed a law that wasn't going to do that. And California apparently had a problem with that and put us on the list.
California, they've got now, I guess, a total of 8 states or so. They've banned travel to Kansas, Mississippi, North Carolina, Tennessee, now Texas, Alabama, Kentucky, and South Dakota. So they're on a roll out in California.
But here's what's really funny. I mean, this is the irony of the entire thing. Governor Jerry Brown, do you know where he was this month? China.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
the great human rights, state who has has a history of discriminating against, gays and a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And Jerry Brown takes California taxpayer dollars and goes to China.
Yeah, well, of course.
But then at the same time has a list for some southern states.
Yeah.
Amazing the hypocrisy, isn't it?
It is. Now you have you sent out an email last night, and also you tweeted back at me that you hope the governor will give you a chance and give the legislature a chance to, I guess, pass a bill that would say, hey, California, you put us on a list, we'll put you on a list. What do you think? Do you think the governor, I know it's early, I don't know if you've had a chance to call the governor up or not, but do you think this might be something you could fit in somewhere in the special session?
I've got some amendments being drafted. I know some bills that this might fit nice and neatly on. But you know what? We've got a great governor. I've always been very supportive of him, and he may want to go a different route. But, I think we do need to, talk about what California is trying to do, starting this economic trade war, trying to impose their values on us through these things. So however we respond, whether it's just making it a reciprocal law, which, that's my plan, or something else, I think it's important for us to let California know they aren't going to dictate our culture and policy.
Yeah,
Period. The end.
I think no matter what, if it becomes law or not, it starts a good discussion. And it gets people focusing on, you've got other states trying to influence us.
Well, and I get it. Some of my colleagues want to appease California because they're afraid of losing some dollars from them. And I think most Texans agree with me that it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
We can't open that door. I mean, where does it end? If we start now, kowtowing to their whims and fancies and their lists, where does that get us?
Can you hang around one more segment?
Absolutely.
Great. When we come back, we've got something else that we need to get into with Representative Dustin Burrows here on the Chad Hasty Show on a Friday. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show News Talk, KFYO. Visiting with State Representative Dustin Burrows. And before I let you get out of here today, I've got to ask you, one of your colleagues was on yesterday, Representative Drew Springer. And, of course, always love hearing from him when he calls in. He was on his way bringing his daughter up to Texas Tech. She was going to tour Texas Tech. And we got on a few different discussion points, and one of them being the regents over at Texas Tech. And he kind of put some pressure on the regents to move forward with the veterinary school. And I know he, Representative Frullo, Perry, Strauss, so many people worked on this, and there are rumors that – like the regents are slow walking this. What have you heard, and what are you hearing about this whole situation?
Well, Representative Springer stopped by and saw my wife and I probably about 4 or 5 o'clock yesterday with his family. And, of course, they were here visiting Tech. She was thinking about going to Tech, doing pre-vet. And one of the big draws for her is that we're about to have a vet school. And, I think there's a huge, huge recruiting opportunity because there's such a need in the state for the vet school. And I just think that we had so much support. Like you said, Representative Frullo worked hard on it. Senator Perry, I think the Speaker of the House, got it in the budget initially. Got to thank him for that. But there was a lot of us very dedicated, to doing this because we saw such a need. And I have not heard anything publicly, at this point in time from the university about when the start date is. But I just can't imagine that we aren't going to see every Board of Regents very excited about this. It's such a great opportunity, and not just because of the recruiting draw and what it's going to provide for this state, because after all, it's going to serve this region well. But I think just the higher profile it's going to raise for tech. I mean, when we talk about getting contracts and relations with these other outside companies, and they're looking at us, great agricultural history. One of the things, maybe the only thing we're missing is a vet school. Yeah. And I just think it's going to provide great things for Texas Tech. Couldn't be more excited about it. And I just keep waiting every day that, we're going to hear from our Board of Regents, because I know they're going to be very supportive at the end of the day. I just feel it.
Yeah. There's no downside here, because I know City of Amarillo, I don't think they've kicked in the money, but they've pledged money towards laying the groundwork and getting this thing moving. So I see no downside.
And the legislature supported. I mean, we did the seed money to fund it. That usually means that we are, committed in the future to helping do this. And, I'm very committed to the people of West Texas, to the agriculture industry, and to Texas Tech, to seeing this thing succeed. And whatever we need to do, we're going to see what we can do to make it successful. And I think that this is a win-win for everybody.
Very good. Planning any trips to California lately? Going to head out there before the session starts?
There's not a whole lot I think I'm going to learn out in California, but I guess maybe the last 30 days to go there, but we'll see what happens.
Representative Burrows, appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Good to see you.